Hello, my name's Paddy Considine and this is eShed.net. Do it right. Pure chance. I met Shane Meadows when I was 17. We were both nobodies, and we were both at college together, and then we left college together and formed in a band and split that band up together and went our separate ways. And then years later, Shane had made a load of short films, made Small Time, and then 24/7, and then I went away to university. We got back together again, and he basically said, "I've got a part in this film, I can't find anyone to play it, would you do it?" So I had no formal training, I'd been a photographer, so it was total luck. Not a kind of pursuit of wanting to become an actor, but it was a bit of luck, yeah. But it was obviously kind of meant to be, in a strange way. So that's how I came about being in this industry. It was then, I was definitely into photography in a massive way. That's what I did my degree in. But I actually did want to be a director. I photographed all these old boxers in their 60s from London, and they were wonderful blokes, and I started to try and put together a documentary of them. So I knew that I wanted to be involved in film in some way, but I didn't realise that it was going to be as an actor. I've just had to say that it's incredible luck. It's a meeting of minds, and it's who you know, and me and Shane had a history, and he obviously saw something in me that he thought was worth putting in a feature film and that he wanted to kind of explore. So that happened, and then from that I got a film called Last Resort, which
excellent film.
By then, I'd done Romeo Brass, which was so sort of left field and kind of crazy, that when I did Last Resort I was determined to, if I was going to have a career in this industry, that I had to show the flip side of the coin. So I wanted to just play a sort of regular bloke. Okay, he's still kind of edgy, but I wanted to play a regular man, Yeah, that's my main source of inspiration, is people that I meet, and my life growing up, and my brother, sisters, parents, my brother and sister's friends. That whole life to me when I was a kid, growing up until I became sort of in my kind of late teens, is probably one of the most important times of my life creatively, and it's the thing that I draw on the most. There's so many characters in my life and so many different aspects and things going on around, so many dramas I think going on around me, that they were the things that resonated. And I think around children people tend to behave in a way that they think that the kids aren't hearing these dramas that are going on, but I definitely did. I was receptive to all of them, and they ended up shaping the way that I go about my art. I was quite a confused dude at 18. I wasn't very well, and I didn't know what to do with all this stuff that I'd grown up with. I didn't know how to process it, and I knew that the only definite thing was that it had to be an artistic outlet. I just didn't know what that outlet was that would help me cope with it and process it, And it eventually became film and writing. I don't aspire to win anything, to be perfectly honest, and if I died without winning an Oscar, I would die a happy man. And my only mission is to be a good husband and dad, because they're the only worthy missions that I've got in life. Anything else is just kind of, if you're going to be a filmmaker, actor, director, anything, musician, any of those things, if you're going to chase your art and the thing that inspires you the most, then it's a very selfish pursuit, and it's consuming, and there's going to be casualties of that pursuit. That just is. That's the way life determines these things. But I'm lucky enough that I've got strong foundations, and everything else is a bonus to me, that I'm lucky enough to be able to have a life, have a family, a wife and children, and then also be able to go out and explore artistically the things that I need to do. Because primarily, it sounds a bit naff when you kind of say it, but I'm an artist, and I'm not embarrassed about it. It's what I am. But that takes a certain amount of commitment, and if you're going to take that vocation in life in any way, you're going to have to back it up, especially if you're intending to make a living from it. Yeah. When I finished certain movies that took a lot out of me emotionally and physically, I was very low, very depressed and down. It took me a long time, after a couple of months of being around a group of 50 people in this kind of world that kind of sucks you in. It's like a vacuum making a film, when you go home, you're expected to go from this world where every day you're playing characters to go back to normal life the next day, and work finishes on Saturday, everyone goes, that's a wrap, and you go home and you go, it's gone. You know, it's a very strange adjustment. You know, it's not quite coming back home from war, but it's an adjustment. And I found that time a struggle. When I was reading this Lee Marvin book, he used to see a psychiatrist who was a friend of his, and he said to Lee Marvin, you should call that period, that's the period of your life, your time, where you should go out fishing, you should do the things that you enjoy doing, and he called that period of time riding the low. And I went, that's my band. If I'm going to surrender myself to anybody on a film set, I'm going to surrender myself to the director, because he's the only guy that I can trust, because it's his vision, you know. And it's a bit of a gamble. You can hire the best of people that you see. You say, oh, I love that guy's art direction in that. I love the way the guy shot that. You could get it on your film, and it don't work. You know, and a lot of it is a little bit to chance. It's being smart, but it's also a little bit to chance, and it's just vision. And great films come together when all them elements come together. You know, and that's a lot of departments to get together creatively to make it work and make it brilliant. So that's the thing you struggle with, particularly as an actor. It's a very vulnerable place, acting. I find it hard. I've been on set with some people who go, yeah, it could be worse, you could be on a building site. It's like, man, you know what? Give me bricks to carry. Because I find this hard. I think it's hard work. And at the end of a film, I'm exhausted, you know. It depends for different things. For like my first ever film, I didn't know any better. So I was rehearsing with all the other actors and doing improvisations. It wasn't until the week before we started filming where I started doing a slightly different voice in this film, you know what I mean? And I started sitting there with all the other actors in the movie, going like, you know what I mean? Don't be like so stupid, you know? You can't be like that. And it came out of nowhere. I was doing an impression of a bare knuckle fighter that Shane introduced me to, you know? That's what I was doing, but it didn't come in until the last week before. And I remember showing him the film, where's that come from? I said, I don't know, is it all right? And he went, yeah. You know, and it was, and it's that comfort that you feel a part of a family enough to be brave enough to go forward with your voice and let it crack out. Preparation's a funny one. In other things, you just read the part and you know. Other times you're stretching. The last film I did, 1980, it's set around the hunt for the Yorkshire Ripper. And I read books about the Ripper. I read really good books, very well researched books. But I got to a point where I went, I don't need to know any more about the Yorkshire Ripper. You know, I don't need to know. It doesn't help me anymore. I just need to know about this man. And whenever I read a script, people say you play the same part over and over again. You know, any actor, De Niro, there's similarities in all the things they do, because if you're picking wisely and you're picking parts that resonate with you, that means they say something about you and about your soul and about your person, you know? I'd say get into it for the right reasons. Get into the industry because you love film, because you love acting, because there's things you want to explore. Do not get into this industry because you want to be famous or anything as ridiculous as that, you know. It's a futile pursuit. Do not, yeah, and you know, people, you'll get well paid, you'll get some, I'm sure, but please just get in there because you mean it.